Hello and welcome to episode number 17 of Over Theologizing. I'm Joe.
And I'm Tyler, and today we ask an AI if UFOs are real. Stay tuned for more. Hello.
You know, it's funny with episodes like this and trying to act normal at the beginning of the episode when the audience can clearly read the title. This is going to be a weird one, guys.
Well, not to mention the fact that we've already been talking for a little bit and just now hit record, and we have to pretend like we're just greeting each other.
What are you talking about?
I
I just walked into your house. We just shook hands and said hi and then pressed record. That was it, right?
Oh, goodness.
That's how it works.
Something like that, yes.
Yeah. Well, we're on episode number 17, Tyler. That's a special number. You know why that's a special number?
I'm not up on my numerology.
I'm disappointed in you. You know, when I played hockey for the Narwhals, my number was 17. I really expected you to know that, Tyler, but here we are.
Yeah, my bad, bro.
Yeah. Well, I'll forgive you this time. Only because this is a very special occasion. For the very first time on Over Theologizing, we have, count them, not one, two guests at the same time, two very special guests. One of them, the highly lauded and sought after Pete Bott, returning again. Mr. Pete, how are you?
Great. Hey, how you guys doing?
Fantastic.
It's so good to hear your voice and see your face again.
Yeah.
In this screen.
To see all the nuts and bolts that your body is made up of.
Get used to it. The overlords were coming.
Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Maybe. Ooh, spoiler. Also, we have another guest that we have been trying to get on for a millennia, it feels like. My good buddy, Justin, how are you?
Hey, buddy. How you doing? Good to be here.
I'm fantastic. I'm glad you are both here. This is going to be a fun episode. You guys excited?
I'm excited.
I'm excited.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Now, for anybody who is a real fan of podcasting, specifically theology-related podcasting, will know that this is actually not Justin's first appearance on a podcast.
That's true.
He did make a very special but brief appearance on That'll Preach.
I did.
When they interviewed when Brian interviewed Tony.
Yeah, when they interviewed
Tony Arsenal. Yeah.
I think you said like 7 words in total, but it was awesome nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, I was glad to be there. What happened is that Brian had scheduled Tony already. They had been talking about it. It's Brian's podcast, so he knew it was happening. And then we were recording on a Sunday, and Brian came up to me after church. And he was like, "Hey, I got Tony today. We're doing the interview today. Do you wanna come be on the podcast with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" so I came, and I mean, it was great. But you know, they both have experience podcasting, and they had everything laid out. Brian had all his questions set up, and I was like, just watching two professionals do their thing.
Well, we all jokes aside, like Tony Arsenal is very special to all of us. He has blessed all of our lives. I'm seeing lots of head nods. Everybody here agrees.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great guy.
Can see my head nods too.
Love Tony. And I also have recorded a podcast with Tony. I never released my old podcast that I made.
Oh, yeah.
But it was the easiest podcast I've ever recorded because he made it very clear. Like he made great points. He went and was concise enough, but also went long enough on every single question. And he made it very clear where he was going to stop. He even had like physical cues. He didn't even say anything about it, but I could tell, all right, he's wrapping up his point here. I need to talk. And now it was really good. Meanwhile, we still like episode number 17 stumble over each other. So,
you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
Yep. Tony's an OG. I mean, he's the original.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. I cannot wait to get him on the show. You know, and we've talked about trying to get him and Jesse at the same time. That sounds like it's even more difficult than them actually being able to record together. So I'm no sweat though. Like Tony, if you're listening, I hope you are. I love you, bro. Definitely would love to sit down and have a chat.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you guys are currently getting ready to tag Wes Huff on Twitter, take a break from that. Tag Tony Arsenal on Twitter instead.
Man.
At the
Put the
Reformed
pressure on.
Arsenal. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
What a great handle too. Reformed
Yeah.
Arsenal.
Right.
So good.
What a fortunate
God just
name.
handed him
Yeah.
this blessing on a platter. You're just like, here.
I've even told
Yeah.
my wife, I'm like, I don't know anybody that could have a cooler username.
Yeah. Like if your wife's maiden name was Arsenal, would you consider taking her name instead?
Nope.
Same. All right, moving on. So today we are talking about a very interesting subject. I guess it was
one that we've never teased before at all.
No,
ever. So
no, but,
people
you
may
know.
not know that this is kind of in my wheelhouse.
Yeah. we talk about everything here on Over Theologizing, and you know, I think it's an important topic. We'll get into that a little bit, but about a week ago, and we'll talk about some of the things surrounding this. But about a week ago, was it a week ago, guys? Like a week ago or so?
I believe so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe it was right about a week ago.
The current administration, the Trump administration, released lots of files on UFOs or UAPs. Now, there's a lot of interesting stuff surrounding that. Like, supposedly there was a meeting between certain government officials that are nondescript and lots of pastors, famous pastors. And if you didn't jokingly text your pastor and say, "Were you in on this meeting?" I'm disappointed. But but apparently the government was telling all these pastors, and this is where it really got on my radar as something important, and we'll talk later. You know, I won't reveal all my cards right now. But apparently in this meeting, these government officials told these pastors that they need to be ready, that some earth-shattering stuff is about to be released, and that it's going to at least make Christianity seem obsolete. And that was the direct language from a certain pastor that was in one of these meetings, supposedly. Now,
Laughable.
yeah, well, yeah, and it's hard to believe, even sometimes, you know, exactly what these pastors are saying. I mean, some of them are people I've never even heard of before this.
Of course.
But yeah, I mean, let's address that right off the bat. Pete, what do you think about that claim?
About aliens being basically making Christianity obsolete?
Yes.
I mean, it's a non-issue. I mean, for one, I mean, the Bible doesn't directly address it one way or the other. So I feel like as far as what truths we discover out in the universe or that come to us, it's not ever going to be proof that God doesn't exist or that Christianity is false.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think sometimes, like, even myself when I was a younger Christian and kind of like a debate nerd and learning how to finagle a conversation to where I can get people to believe what I believe. Like I would think about circular reasoning and stuff like that. And you can't say, "Oh, well, no matter what happens, you can't disprove God because that's circular reasoning." But at the end of the day, like, it's okay to have that faith where you just understand, yeah, there's just nothing that's going to, like, we already have enough evidence that God exists.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, there's nothing that's going to all of a sudden come out, and proof is in the pudding of time. You know, the past however many thousands of years the world has existed. Yeah, nothing has disproven God so far, and it will not in the future. I don't think that's a hot take.
Yeah, my take on this is always, I say always, I don't know that I've always had it like kind of formulated really. But even if you could prove without a shadow of a doubt that like what people are seeing is aliens and all this kind of stuff, at the end of the day, the fact still remains like the Bible was written for a particular purpose. It wasn't written as a like exhaustive dictionary of all that the universe entails.
Right.
So realistically, what we're looking at is like, even if you can say that these are 100% aliens from this distant planet, light years upon light years away, the Bible is still true for us because it was written to us for us, not as a way of saying that means nothing else outside of this earth is possible. Now, I don't know that I personally think that it is truly like alien life from another planet. I don't know. Looking at what was released, it's been really kind of
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
disappointing.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like it can't shake my faith, because my faith is that, first of all, Christ came here to earth and died in my place for my sin. And so therefore, like anything beyond that doesn't really need to phase me.
Mhm.
So that's where I land on it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the danger in something like this is someone like last episode we talked about Theo Vaughn, and he seems to be kind of at this crossroads of faith where, and I personally like exactly described right before my conversion as kind of like this crossroads where, you know, we're Calvinists here. We believe in predestination and all that fun stuff. But I think just because you're a Calvinist doesn't mean that humans have will. And apart from God's grace in changing my heart, I would have gone a left turn in the crossroads instead of a right. But from our temporal perspective, there's people where they're maybe at a crossroads, and something like this where the government is saying, yeah, Christianity is going to be obsolete. That could
Right.
definitely drive some
As
people away.
if.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and Christianity is the primary focus is on the glory of God in the salvation of man.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's dealing with redemptive history. It's actual history, but its primary focus is on the redemption of mankind.
Yeah.
And so no outside entities or aliens or whatever, extra dimensional beings, like none of that negates the fact that we are sinners in need of a savior.
Right. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what is it that the government thinks they have that could possibly shake the faith of Christendom. It's like I don't exactly trust the government's opinion on theology,
or anything maybe.
yeah, really. Like who is our president's religious counselor or whatever?
Yeah.
Paula White.
Let's not talk about
Paula
that. Let's not talk about that. We'll just leave that one alone.
Yeah. So it's not like he's an authority on Christianity or theology in any, by any means, So I'm trying to think, what is it that they have that they think is going to shake the faith of Christians? Like,
yeah,
do they think that they have information that there are beings that made us? Do they think there's confirmation that there's another extraterrestrial species out there that, extraterrestrial. Of course.
It would say confirmation.
Oh, confirmation. Sorry.
For the listeners,
didn't know what those quotes are for.
For the listeners, those were scare quotes.
Yeah.
Super scary.
Do they think just the presence of aliens is going to shake the faith? Do they think there's information that these aliens somehow made us? Are they going to come out and say, "Oh yeah, simulation theory is real"? Like,
yeah.
Well, I'm trying to think, what is it?
There was something specific said, but I'm not going to reveal what that is because
I haven't read any of it.
Gotcha. Well, that's almost kind of better. I like that.
Cool.
So the way this episode is going to work is Tyler and I are going to bring up several different theories on what people think. And this isn't just recently. This is, people talking about it for a long time. What people think this phenomena could be, whether it's from the Roswell incident or whatever, you name it. I don't know how familiar everybody here is. I'm sure the two people sitting together on my left know what the Roswell incident is. Pete, are you aware of the Roswell incident?
Yeah, they had like 3 seasons, right? It was a WB show.
Right, that one.
Yeah.
The incident involving the show, yes.
Yeah, yes.
Yep.
No, yeah,
So-
I'm familiar with Roswell and Area 51 and
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
So the first theory I'm going to bring up is just straight up, these are aliens, and I want you guys, all 3 of you, and I will rate last because I'm the least special here.
Nonsense. I call
wait.
nonsense.
Jesus did say the first will be last and the last will be first. So now I'm being prideful. What am I doing, guys? So the first
true
theory,
Christian paradox.
Yeah.
The only Christian thing for you to do is to try to be first all the time then, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah, don't hold the door for anyone. So the first theory is these are just straight up aliens. So 1 to 5, 5 being the most likely. What do you think the likelihood of straight up just extraterrestrial life forms that are maybe definitely a lot more intelligent than we are and have some sort of teleportation or vehicle device that can reach Earth from their planet, and we don't even have the ability to see them with our technology?
And this rating scale, this scenario stands on its own, right?
Yes.
It's not like compared
These
to
are
the
not
other
connected.
ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's
Or
no
are
scoreboard
they?
here either. So I'll go first. And personally, like, this might be a hot take, but I won't give it like a 0, I guess, because God's creation is in fact vast. But I think I'm going to give this like a 1, just because the fact that we know that man is the chief of God's creation. We are made in God's image. And I think part of that is our advanced intellect over any other creature. And so the likelihood of, and if you disagree, like, I'm not going to, berate you, but the likelihood, in my opinion, of some other creature, and like Pete said, Jesus came in human flesh and died on a cross for men. The likelihood that God would center his creation on man and also create a creature far, far away that is more intelligent than man seems unlikely to me. And don't let me sway your scores either. You do you, as the kids say. Do they say that still? I think
Well,
so.
I have my opinions. Not that that's a surprise to anyone here.
No, never.
So, Pete, what do you think? What are you thinking? I see the wheels turning over there.
Yeah, the likelihood that it's aliens, creatures from another planet, I'll go
muted
with
now?
I'll go with you. I say a
We're
1.
muted now.
Yeah.
No, you're unmuted.
There is
In
a
case you wanted to be
possibility,
muted.
but really not likely.
Yeah.
Can we go half points? Can I go like
You can.
0.5?
You absolutely
yes.
Are
can.
you American?
Pete, you know my scale. You
I
can
know your
definitely go
scale.
half points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we go to the 100th?
Hey, you do you do you.
Yeah, I'll go half a point. I'll give it half a point. There's a chance, but it's highly unlikely.
I'm with you. Yep. All right. Tyler, what are you thinking?
Oh man. Okay, so I'll explain, but I don't know. I you said likelihood,
Yes.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would almost land closer to a 2. And my only reason would be like I would imagine just with like the sheer amount of time that they've existed, like you have the angels. that are clearly more intelligent and have had more time. They live in God's presence. So like that so only serves to be like precedent for like there are creatures that I would consider probably far more intelligent than us, um, that aren't made in His image, because the angels are not made in God's image. We are.
Right.
So I would say like I can see a scenario in my head where you have these beings from another planet far, far away that have heard the tales, and like that's the interaction with humanity, allegedly, if you believe any of the stories, is minimal. They tend to be observant, um, and just kind of be watched from a relative distance. So I don't know. Maybe there's a scenario where they are from far away. They've heard this fable of creatures made in God's image, and that they need to see that for themselves. I'm not going to stake anything on that, so that's why I tend to land like closer to a two, not all the way at the three. But I don't know. I personally I don't land at a one, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. What are you thinking, Justin?
Uh, Likelihood. That's tough for me. Um, just looking at the expanse of creation, just in the
Mhm.
observable universe, and knowing how much more there is. Um, uh, I'm not going to say I feel like it's likely that there's something else out there. I wouldn't be surprised if there was something else out there.
Sure,
If
yeah.
there is something else out there that is as intelligent or more intelligent than us, I don't think it presents any theological issues for us.
Right.
I wouldn't be shocked. So I'm gonna probably be in the 1 to 2 range, uh, just because a boy can dream. Uh, but like what I'm saying. Like the creation is so incredibly vast, and our little planet is so small. Um, God can do what He wants.
Yeah.
He can make all of the observable universe and beyond with nothing but the image of God here on earth, and that's fine and beautiful. I
Mhm.
just wouldn't be shocked if, uh, with as creative as our God is, if he flexes muscles a little bit somewhere else too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, and it's not that the universe isn't just vast, but it's also complex.
Mhm.
There are
Right.
like I've just kind of been looking at it recently, but there are like superstructures in the universe. Like there's like quadrants of galaxies that interplay with each other, and there's effects that those have. It's just like it's not just a vast nothingness or a few stars here and there. I mean, it's intricate the
Yeah.
way God made it. And so, I mean, if He made that intricacy with beings on them that, you know, were highly intelligent and whatever, like that again, that doesn't pose a problem for Christianity.
Right.
And that would be super cool. Like,
Yeah.
my score was a 0.5, but like, I'm rooting for that 0.5, like come on, aliens,
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I wouldn't be shocked, like building off of what Pete said, I wouldn't be shocked at all if uh, all of the vastness of creation is interplaying with each other to make this one tiny little planet livable for us. Like
Mhm.
all of creation touches everything else in some sense or another that makes this tiny little place a beautiful paradise that the humans can exist on. Like I wouldn't be shocked again, and I wouldn't be shocked in the other direction either.
Yeah.
It's so big. Have you guys ever seen like the comparison of our sun uh compared to like every other known star?
Yeah,
Like the
did you
size
see that
comparison?
you see that video where it starts with Earth and then it zooms out to, like,
That's
Jupiter and then
exactly what I'm thinking of. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah, and by the
crazy.
time it gets to the biggest one that we can see, like our sun isn't even visible. It's like
Yeah.
a pinhead,
And then that zooms out even farther, and it's like, here's what this supercluster looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then here's what the closest galaxy, yeah.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, and I think oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just, like you were saying, it's vast, it's complex, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think I'm definitely with Justin. Like there's something like really cool about this idea that the way God has orchestrated all of creation to make life habitable and beautiful for us is really cool. So
Yeah, it could be that God just made this incredible vastness for us to continue to discover and see more of his glory.
Mhm.
You know, like this infinite, unfathomable universe
Yeah.
could just be there for us to continue to learn about how wonderful, magnificent, powerful our God is, you know,
Mhm. Yeah,
without
and
anything else being there.
right. Yeah, and I think we talked about it on our episode after the Artemis 2 mission, but, um
Staged.
that's gonna start a war in the comments. But yeah, like, no matter what, whether there are or aren't extraterrestrial beings, um, like, how awesome is God? You know, you see that video and we still can't really comprehend it, but if you even buy your kid, like, a telescope and you look out into space, it just screams the glory of God and how
Yeah.
big our God is to and how little we are too.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's incredible. So, our next theory is kind of the opposite, and it is the psychological slash sociological theory. And this theory would be that these patterns are explained by the fact that these correlating stories happen in certain areas. So maybe the the sociological uh, like culture of the area has an impact on expectations and what things should be like, and you get Greek pagans that believe in all kinds of different gods and stuff, and that gods do all kinds of crazy things, and of course the atheist, the skeptic would say, I say skeptic in the theological sense, not the alien sense, I guess I should clarify, but would say, oh yeah, these Christians expect supernatural entities like demons, so they're going to notice, like a possible lunar event and think that something abnormal is supernatural. Um, and I'm going to go ahead, like, right off the bat and give this one probably like a point 0.1 on my scale, just because I've looked into, um, I wouldn't say a lot, like, I haven't dove too incredibly deep on this subject. Um, but it just seems too much of a coincidence for, like, the patterns of things that happen. Um, not to get it too much into detail about, like, quote unquote abductions or whatever. You could even just talk about what people see and what they experience with these, whatever they are. And I don't think that, like, one of the examples in this theory would be like sleep paralysis. Well, I
yeah.
don't I don't I don't think someone getting sleep paralysis on this part of the world and then, you know, something similar, someone experiencing something very similar on another part of the world, I don't know. It just seems too much of a coincidence with the number of accounts we have. What do you guys think?
Clarify. What you're asking me to rate here, Joe?
Yeah, so it's the psychological or sociological theory, and this would be that, different cultural aspects, like, they would definitely include religion in that. Um, People expect certain things, almost like people are kind of looking for it. Either that, or they have some sort of condition. Like I said, sleep paralysis would be one, or maybe I don't know, like schizophrenia. I don't know. And so, yeah, so these aren't actually things happening. It's just people making it up in their mind, I guess, essentially.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that would be low on my scale.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably pretty low on my scale as well. Just given kind of the consistency of experiences. But I guess you could also argue the consistency of experiences means it is some type of just human experience. I'd say it's low. I'd give
Mhm.
it a 1.
Yeah. What do you think, Tyler?
I'm definitely leaning in the same direction as you, Joe. I mean, here's the thing: like when it comes to stuff like UFO sightings or alleged alien encounters or whatever. I mean, I, our listeners don't know this, but I'm a big fan of like Sasquatch stories and stuff as well. And
Guys, he's
so
wearing
like
a Sasquatch shirt. I have to point it out.
I am it's glorious. So at no point in any of these like sightings, encounters, what have you, are people anything other than ostracized and made to feel like kind of pushed out from society for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And realistically, like it always kind of stems from this place of like, oh, you're a weirdo.
Mhm.
You think aliens are real, or you think Sasquatch is real. Um, like religion in general tends to fall more on that. There is certainly something to be said about like, certain culture groups in different cities, states, countries, whatever. Like if you don't subscribe to a particular religion, you're like the odd one out. But like when it comes to like, alien UFO sightings, whatever, those tend to be like, you didn't really see that. What you saw was a balloon or whatever. And so basically like, yeah, I would put that really, really low.
Yeah.
I don't think that plays a factor at all. And in my opinion, I could be wrong, but in my opinion, I'm going like 0.5 or lower.
Pete, what do you think?
All right, let's brawl. I'm thinking like I'm thinking like 3 or 4, like maybe 4. Tyler, you bring up a good point. It's not. I don't think people are seeing UFOs thinking they're gonna win friends and influence their neighbors. Um, and I don't necessarily think that there's like in the US or like certain parts of the US where like maybe alien sightings are more frequent.
Mhm.
I don't know that there's like a cultural um zeitgeist or spirit that is like, yeah, this is what happens here. That it's like, well, I saw this weird phenomenon, therefore it is UFOs. Um, but I definitely think like the psychosis can play a factor, like sleep paralysis or just weird things happening in people's heads. I mean, the human body is amazingly strange and can do all kinds of crazy things. And so I think there being some sort of like influence of like I heard this story and that influenced when I talked to the reporter this way and I think that there's a lot of possibility that that could be it. I I wouldn't ever listen to somebody tell their story and be like, wow, that's your
Right.
psychosis, but I think it still could be,
I think if you're breaking them apart, I would say like uh, on a like from a psychological perspective, I would definitely put it higher. But like the sociological, like that's where I'd count it really low. Like
Mm.
as far as like I'm trying to fit in or whatever. I don't think that happens. It always results in the opposite. However, I would definitely say like I think there very well could be a major psychological component to it.
Mhm.
Mm.
Well, and like the cultural example was like people of religion, the ancient Greeks, they see a meteorologic phenomenon and they think, well, that's Zeus, doing whatever,
Yeah.
like that kind of cultural thing of like in given our culture, how do we explain what we've seen? It must be UFOs. Not necessarily like a culture of like, oh, I saw a UFO because I want to fit in with everybody.
Yeah, and I was gonna
But
say, like, in a historical sense, I think maybe people would be a lot more accepting, but in modern day America, I think Tyler's right in that, people might think you're a goofball.
Well, I mean, you brought up Roswell before. Like, I think there's something to be said about like the way it was handled. Obviously that guy at the time, because before that there wasn't a ton of documented like, UFO sightings cases in the US. Like we
Mhm.
have some stuff that goes back a ways in history where people saw things in the sky they couldn't explain or whatever. But like in the US, there really wasn't any major events, and that was kind of like our first one, and that really kicked off this idea of UFOs. That may have even been like where the term initially gets coined.
I think it
So like
was, yeah.
until then, like there wasn't. I mean, I guess if I'm following what you're saying, Pete, like you could certainly be primed for it. Um, Especially depending on like what era of movies you grew up watching or whatever. Um, but yeah, like it's definitely one of those like and I feel like a lot of people tend to at least in the people that I've talked with um about just weird stuff in general. They tend to default to it's got to be something normal. I there's no way that I'm going to accept that it was aliens. Now that said, I tend to like always put like a hard definitional like statement on UFOs. Like if you saw it in flying and it was an object and you've not been able to identify it, it is therefore by definition a UFO.
Mhm.
I'm not going to say like what I saw was an alien spaceship,
Yeah.
but I am going to say I saw something. I don't know what it was.
It's not often that I like when people, um, like, redo terms, but the new UAP terminology, I think
Oh,
it's kinda actually helpful because there's a lot of baggage that comes with UFO, and people just think of, like, a flying disc in the sky. But if you just say the word unidentified aerial phenomena, that could be all kinds of different stuff. So I think that, like, to your point, I think it actually is sorta helpful.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
one thing on Pete's point, I guess on the same topic, is Tyler and I are both uh, pretty interested, even if it's just for fun, in like the paranormal space or whatever you want to call it, And like we've heard hundreds of stories from different witnesses, some people who didn't believe in X before they had an experience, and then had an experience and then suddenly believe in it, people that believed in it beforehand and then had an experience, and then some people who never in their entire life had access to the internet and then experience something and then 10 years later figure out how to use the internet and then report all of the same exact things that happened, without ever having heard from anyone else about these things before. um, I tend to believe, because of the amount of accounts that I've heard of certain things from different types of people, um, that these things probably aren't just psychological impressions.
yeah, and I think the key word there is just because I'm like, surely, there's some schizophrenic or,
Sure.
people with sleep paralysis that are seeing something that's not really there, or, like you brought up Greek pagans, explaining away a phenomena like by using that. Yeah, that surely is definitely part of it. Um, but yeah, I don't know. We'll get a little bit more into there. Like I've wanted to say a bunch of different things, but I would like dig into four of these other different theories. So I don't want to go too deep. We'll move on to the next one. Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah, go for it.
All
You're the
right.
boss.
I'm we're in trouble if that's the case.
This show
uh,
was your idea. I'll just put that out there.
it was, yeah, it was. Um, all right. So our next theory would be secret human technology. I think this one's pretty self-explanatory. Whether it's a secret cabal, like an underground cabal, or just military, good old-fashioned military industrial complex stuff that we have no idea about. And again, I should have said this at the beginning. Um, I guess with really any of these theories, it's not going to be exhaustive. Like, I don't think we probably think, well, very many of these cover all the bases of things attributed to UAP or UFO stuff. But for this one, on my side of things, I think this is probably like uh 3.5, 4. Like, I think there's probably a whole lot of stuff that we don't know about. And in fact, there's also documented instances of I'm blanking on the name of the actual jets, but years ago, when these specific jets came out, or like the
SR-71s.
SR-71, I think
Those
is one
things
of
are
them. Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love
yeah.
those
jet
things.
ever created.
Yeah. And maybe like the U-2 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these planes that, people are like
B2.
B2. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Bono's not out there doing stuff. Come on.
U2 would have been a submarine.
Oh, okay, yeah, that.
My like niche like war knowledge comes out
Yeah.
just now.
But yeah, I mean, like maybe even a U2. Like if someone saw a submarine and had no idea what a submarine was, you know what I mean?
Well, this episode, Joe, is about UFOs, not USOs. That's part 2.
Well, hey, we've seen some videos where they come out of the water too. So just saying. But yeah, anyway, we've seen the Tic Tacs and the like school bus sized drone looking things, the videos of that stuff. And yeah, I don't know. Of course, like political pundits that want to get people riled up on either side will say, like one side will say, "Oh yeah, it's China flexing their power, and we're all going to die because China's getting more powerful, and we got to win because America," or or whatever to get their point across. But either way, I think this one's pretty likely and also documented in the past.
You guys think Tic Tac's stock went up when the whole Tic Tac came out?
Yes.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be shocked if it didn't actually.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you, Joe. I think it's highly likely that I don't know if all of it, but at least some of it is secret military tech from who knows. I read a paper from the late Michael Heiser one time, and he was addressing UFOs, and he actually took the opinion, surprisingly, that a lot of the UFO stuff was secret aerial tech, and he cited some like old papers of concepts that the military was trying to produce.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tyler, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I tend to put this in a situation where it's definitely not exclusive.
Right.
Like Justin said, I don't think all of it is secret military tech. I would certainly say that I would err on the side of at least some of what's been going on is certainly secret military stuff. And my biggest reasoning for that is because you have stuff that you can submit a Freedom of Information Act request for, but that's only subject to the government. Meanwhile, like all of our development for weapons and vehicles and stuff, that doesn't happen in house inside the military. That goes through third parties. Like Lockheed Martin,
good old buddies
like,
at Lockheed.
Yeah, so I tend to err on the side of like if anybody's
BlackRock,
going to have
if you want to
something,
sponsor this podcast,
we can be bought. Yeah, no, I think there's certainly something to be said that I don't see why. I mean, at no point do I ever think that like what's available on the consumer level market is the tippity top.
Yeah.
When it comes to like I'm into radios some, like the technology behind like some of the radios the military uses is far beyond the capabilities of like what we as civilians have access to.
Yeah.
And that's just like the name of the game. Like when it comes to firearms, we obviously know like you know, you and I can't just go buy an M60 machine gun to reenact
Boo.
the scene from Rambo. However, you know, the military has open free access to that. So I think there's something to be said about like there's stuff that like they're not going to say, oh yeah, we have that,
Yeah.
especially something like that, because that, you know, we hear it quoted all the time about, you know, it's a national security thing. And it is, you know, if our military is making craft that can do what the reports say these things can do, um, it's certainly not going to be out there saying like, "Oh yeah, this is ours. Look what we
Yeah.
can do." Not yet, anyway. You know, so yeah, I definitely would. I would probably put it around 3 or 4 as well.
Yeah. What do you think, Pete?
Yeah, I think probably a 3 or a 4. I was thinking about I could have this wrong. This is my caveat that anything I say from here on after could be mistaken and it's all my fault. But it in the 80s, somebody took a pot shot at Reagan, and the his security, the Secret Service. I mean, they responded like just flat. I mean, just boom. They were in action, right?
Yeah.
And they all pull out these little Uzis from their trench coats. And like nobody had ever seen an Uzi before. This little snub little, you know, automatic machine gun with a giant clip on it. You know, it's just like, whoa, what is this? You know? and then of course, you know, Magnum PI gets them and all the, you know, everybody, all the bad guys in the movies. But so that kind of thing is obviously out there, you know, like the radio tech and whatnot. So yeah, I think it's very possible that the government could have some aircraft that they're testing, or some you know aerial device that they're you know got a project going on, and somebody happens to see it and it looks like a UFO. And I mean that it's obviously doesn't explain everybody's story, but it's definitely possible. So yeah, I'd say that's like it's probably a 4 on likelihood.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, we just mentioned the B-2 stealth bomber and the U-70 or the SR-71.
The U2.
Yeah, dude.
U2.
Yeah, the U2.
You messed me up, Joe.
With or without you. Sorry.
Obviously,
Bono
those
Cabal.
were those were such like top secret projects. And I mean, first of all, the B-2 is shaped unlike any other plane ever.
Mm.
So, you know, that's a situation where you see that fly overhead and you're like, what is that?
Yeah.
So, you know, until that was released and they said like, hey, this is ours. We do this, you know, it was such a strange sight to see that, you know, I'm sure there were reports of UFOs that turned out to just be the B-2.
Yeah.
So I do think it's funny. I think this was the only one that we've all like pretty unanimously agreed on a number for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So and you know, you think about like the Manhattan Project. Like
yeah.
if anybody in the 40s had any understanding of explosives, and then they were told without any context that the US had a bomb capable of what uh little boy and fat man, is that, or did I mix those up? Yeah.
I think
Could
you're right.
do, they would be like, what? You know, so there's obviously things that the government does behind the scenes that we have no idea about. And also, you know, kind of part of that, if anybody listened to the cultish episode talking about this, which yes, that is kind of part of what spurred this episode on, if you guys were curious. The guy that was on there, and I don't have anything against the guy, but one of the things he said is that it couldn't be that the government is using this as a distraction, because It happens. It's been happening. I guess his examples went back to about the year 2000 of a bunch of different uh not exposure, but I guess yeah, exposure, different, like whether it's people outside of the government exposing things within the government or the government being transparent about certain things back to the year 2000. Transparency was the word I was looking for. But I also don't think that that means that it couldn't be a distraction mechanism. And I think certainly right now, with certain things going on, not to be the top 50 political podcast, but maybe a distraction would be beneficial for the government. Um, that's not one of these theories, but hey, we'll throw a score up on that. What do you think? Distraction? And again, that doesn't cover. None of these are exhaustive. That doesn't cover everything. I'm
Yeah,
gonna go
like they
with
said
like
in
a
that podcast, the cultish podcast, if it's a distraction, it's not a very good distraction.
yeah,
Like it's not
yeah.
like the news is like solely focused on this one thing and everything else is nobody's, paying attention to it.
But I genuinely think it's possible that that's what they were trying to do,
Could
and
be.
then just
Yeah.
nobody cared. Because to me, it's just kind of weird when you have Obama not that long ago on a podcast saying, "Oh yeah, aliens are real," and then and
That was
then
good.
That
I
was
liked it.
that was fantastic.
Yeah. I do a
Good.
pretty good Obama, and then Trump, like I don't know, it just seems kind of weird to me, the timing of everything, but I don't know. Maybe that's a
Well,
little conspiratorial of me, but
Joe, I mean that went as far back as like when David Grush first testified before Congress
yeah,
as a whistleblower. There were some things about that whole situation where, like, I remember hearing, like, seeing clips of Joe Rogan talking about that specifically, and then he was like, "I don't understand why people aren't like freaking out more." But at the time, like, there was some like major financial upset going on, and so everyone was like, "I don't care if aliens are out there.
yeah,
I
can't
can't
afford
pay my
bread.
bills. I
Yeah,
can barely survive right now. Like, what do you want? Like, if I can't pay my rent, okay, aliens, and
yeah. Can they pay my rent?
So I'm just gonna go ahead and jump in and say I think I think some of it is certainly distraction. I don't. I think the timing of it is more distraction oriented than anything else.
Yeah,
Because here lately, the biggest response that I'm seeing to a lot of this is like, yeah, that's cool, but what about the files?
yeah.
Mhm.
The other files,
The other files,
the files
You-
that we all want released,
and to be fair,
and
that's
that
a
haven't been released.
that's a
Sorry.
very like room temperature take, like
Yeah,
absolutely. Like why wouldn't we also be heavily focused on, like, you're over here releasing information about potential aliens, but like if you still have these people in charge, that's a problem regardless,
yeah,
aliens or not.
You're not
Yeah.
you're not talking about the X files, you're talking about the E files.
yeah.
The E files,
That's
that's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Okay, yeah.
This is why
So
we love you, Pete.
that's one of those things where it's like, trust me, I am so deeply curious about a lot of this stuff because
Mhm.
like I know I have personally talked to, so like earlier where Justin was talking about, we've heard a lot of stories. Most of them, like I've heard a few stories from people personally. Most of it's been through the form of podcasting. Um, but there I do know people that have seen stuff in the sky that they just genuinely had no idea. Like
Mhm.
there was no way for them to parse that out into a neat category of like a plane or a bird or a balloon or something. They saw this thing happen and they're like, I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah,
So I'm so deeply curious as to, like, I would love to know the answer 100% one way or the other. Like we discussed earlier, though, it's not going to really affect me beyond just satisfying that curiosity.
yeah,
Because, like, man, like Pete, I would love for it to be aliens.
yeah.
Just
Well,
because, like, I'm a big sci-fi nerd, and so like that tickles every part of that.
yeah. Well, and we're kind of beating around the bush here and only really talking about stuff in the sky, but there's also like physical experiences that people have had. And we're going to talk about some of the little more weird stuff in a minute here. But before we do, there's one more like kind of like normal, theory that maybe would be a little more palatable for the everyday Joe, and then we're gonna get into some more weird stuff. But I guess this isn't so much a theory, but just a question: how likely, given the fact that we were supposed to get this huge batch of released files, how likely do you think it is that the government has significant evidence? And I want to hear from you on this one, Justin, first, because I've been going to Pete or Tyler first. But how likely do you think it is that the government has significant evidence, whether it's whatever it is, an actual extraterrestrial? And we're going to talk about a couple of different theories, but how likely do you think it is that the government has significant evidence of such a thing?
I mean, I feel like if it's out there, the government probably has some knowledge of it, at least a little. If it's out there, whether that be classical UFOs or something that would be classified as paranormal. I feel like in such an interconnected internet age, there's so much information that is so rapidly distributed that I feel like the government, if they have information on something world shattering or world changing, they have to lie to their citizens about it, because we have the rest of the world to worry about. So yeah, it's probably likely that if it's out there, they have intel on it, but whether or not it's distraction, I guess, beating on the last question a little bit, distraction, propaganda, or whatever, I don't know. But I feel like with the information market of the world, even if it's nothing at all, if nothing exists and it's all propaganda or show, it's probably prudent for the government to be using it in this distraction type tactic,
Mm. Yeah. Tyler, what do you think? Oh, you didn't give us a 1 to 5 or a 0 to 5.
Oh, if anything is out there, I think they probably have information on it. 5.
Our first 5.
Yeah. Strong.
I definitely am 100% on the same page. Though I tend to think like I'm more curious about like how much evidence they have versus how much evidence they have that they actually know what it is. Versus like I mean, we have this stuff. I don't know what it means, but I would definitely say like I fully believe that through all of this, file release and stuff about this, I fully believe that they know, like they have stuff they, for one, haven't shown us yet.
Yeah.
But for two, like just they have evidence of whatever it is. Whether they're gonna tell us the truth about it or not is kind of a different half of the discussion. But yeah, I'm like sitting at a 5. I think they definitely. I think they definitely have whatever it is, be it like you said earlier, military testing versus actual alien bodies. I don't know, but whatever it is, they're fully in. They know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, let me amend and clarify a little bit to that 5 because it's a hard sure take. I'm not trying to say if anything is out there at all, the government knows about it. I'm trying to say if anything is out there at all that has interacted with us in a significant way that would cause some uproar, they have information about it.
That would be possible to have evidence of. You're saying,
right? Yeah. Not that if there's anything that exists in the universe, the government definitely knows about it.
No, I don't trust them like that.
Yeah, that's not what I'm trying to say.
But I mean, the other side of that obviously is like if it's Lockheed Martin, then obviously too. You know.
I don't want to get blown up. Pete, what do you
Yeah,
think?
I think it's pretty pretty non-controversial. I think if there's if given the amount of information that they have, and whether that be from sightings or crashes or their own tech that they're developing, I think that the government has some idea of what's going on, and even if they can't maybe explain everything, um, and I think there's definitely some things that they're keeping from us, whether it be out of state secrets, or because they would it feels like it would disrupt society drastically or catastrophically. But yeah,
Yeah.
kind of on that same page.
Yeah, and I honestly kind of wonder if, the person, the pastor, I think he was a pastor that supposedly was in this meeting that was told that whatever they had would make Christianity obsolete or whatever. I wonder if the person, if that meeting really even happened, because there's questions, you know, whether that actually even happened or not. Um, but if it did, I kind of wonder if that government official was trying to say something more of, hey, you might lose some congregants on the more chaffy side, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because worldview does matter. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna give this one a 5 as well. And I'm gonna explain it later, because I'm gonna reference this later, because I have the benefit of knowing what we're gonna talk about later. All right, we're gonna get into some weird ones now, guys. You ready for this?
Yeah,
Born ready.
let's do it.
All right. I don't know how these are gonna go over. I don't know if there's gonna be a lot of talk here on these, but the next theory is the ultra terrestrial theory. Do you guys know what this is?
Never heard of it.
Okay.
Not by that name. I'm sure I've
You
heard it.
probably no, you definitely have. I think we've talked about this before. So this would be like essentially whether it's an ancient civilization living underneath the earth, or one of the
Hollow Earth
theories.
theory.
Yeah, well, one of the theories. This kind of covers a lot of different stuff. Like it could
Yeah.
be a planar species that's been observing us this whole time. It could, which obviously as Christians we're going to say no to that one.
Secret underground lizard people, though.
Hey, you never
I'm
know.
here for it.
100%.
I'm
One
here
of the theories when I was doing research on this was Nazis fled to Antarctica.
Oh, yes, I've heard this.
And yes, and they have lots of crazy technology. They talk about the bell, some sort of bell that
Mhm.
the Nazis
Yeah.
made. I forget what the German word for bell is, but
There's no other logical reason why they wouldn't let us go there, right?
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't want to go see some cute penguins? Come on now. Let us down there. But
Surely it's not just because they have scientists there doing research and they don't want a bunch of tourists crashing the party.
Hut, tut, tut.
or that it's like, a little dangerous. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and kick this one off with a fat 0. Go ahead, guys.
I don't know, man. I've heard some weird stories that tend to follow along the kind of like Hollow Earth idea, that I find fascinating. I don't know where to put it as far as, do I place that beyond just fascination, or what do I do with that?
Yeah.
So I'm like 1 or even lower myself. I would tend to not think that it's something that's just been here for a long time watching, and they're just waiting for the final time to show us their reptilian selves.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of people, like when I was perusing the internet, like a common one is, especially they love to talk about ancient Egypt. A lot of
Oh,
people
yeah.
just think that ancient civilizations, and I mean, who's this? Like, I don't necessarily think that they, like, there's this kind of snobbery, this modern snobbery where we think that everybody from the past is really stupid. I don't think that. It's possible they had more technology than we are aware of. But that being said, you know, in order for this theory to work, they would have to have some advanced technology and then also be hiding. So, yeah. Pete, what are you thinking about this one?
What did you call them? Ultra
terrestrials.
That means they're so terrestrial. They're like even more terrestrial than us.
I was trying to think ultra. What would an ultra terrestrial be? And I was like, Godzilla.
Uber terrestrial.
Yeah.
Yes, the kaiju.
King Kong. I don't know.
And King Kong is real. Don't get me started.
I saw him at the mall. There was like a big
yeah. Yeah, I would say a 0. Maybe a 0.1. Like there is a possibility that could be, but I think it's highly unlikely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that there's been a theory proposed so far that I could give an absolute 0 to, just because like the world is so much more complicated than I think we have a handle on. So it's like, could it be? Yeah. It likely no.
Yeah.
You know, as fun as it is.
Yeah. I think
and
this
that's
one,
the key, right? It's fun. Like this is all like,
yeah.
I mean, you can mine this gold in stories, you know, in movies, you know, forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's super fun. It's super fun to think about, but I think this is one of the sillier ones. Yeah.
Like we joke about it all the time.
Oh yeah.
Just constantly talking about, you know, the underground, Hollow Earth, the lizard people, all that.
It's straight meme fodder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super fun. It's fun to hear what people think. And gosh, I hope they don't actually think it too much. But yeah, super.
That's what worries me.
Yeah, that's what worries me. Super low, you know?
Yeah.
Being a scientist, I can't give it an absolute 0. Just kidding, I'm not a scientist.
You are in my heart.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I just, maybe some of the wackier ends of this, like literally reptile people, are what caused me to throw a 0 up on it. I guess maybe I should say 0.1 given the ancient civilization possibility. You guys convinced me. You guys are moving me 0.1 at a time.
Well, they say that's where the Nephilim hid. You know, it wasn't that it was a second incursion, that there were giants after the flood, but they actually hid in the caves underground and survived.
Hey, we're going wacky already. We can't go too far, Tyler.
Don't test him.
Trust me, that's really high level stuff. We could go deeper.
Yeah. Except for the Keebler elves, I don't think there's any ultra terrestrials.
The Keebler elves,
except for the Keebler
fudge.
Yeah. Well, and we joke about people taking some of these too seriously, but there's legitimately people that take this way too seriously, and there are Christians that take some of these things very, very seriously, and we talk all the time on this podcast, Pete. I guarantee we talked at some point on your episode, because we talk about almost every episode. The primary gospel truths are the things that we need to hold at the highest level. And then there's secondary things below that. There's tertiary things below that. And then way, 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 way down is this fun stuff that we can talk about and theorize. But like, there's people that legitimately get in like relationship altering or even breaking fights over this stuff. And yeah, that's where it becomes really scary. Make Jesus first.
Because those low level things rise up to secondary, tertiary, even primary.
Yeah.
And I mean, the conspiracies can be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, when they dominate your thoughts, it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Well, to kind of take this to a real world example, like I feel like you can, you know, and again, the conspiracy thing is just so much fun. It's so much fun to think about, like, oh, what sort of cover up is that, you know? And to a degree, I think, like, I always have a skeptical mind about a lot of it, where I'll like, just, is that true though? But you run into a situation like we all saw this in COVID, and like you had some people that were like hardcore, like anti-mask, and viewed people that wore masks in such a way that was just very like dehumanizing, like, you know, you're sheep, you know. And but then we also saw the opposite, where it's like you have these
Yep.
people that believe so much in their mask that like they were terrified of people, like to a visceral degree, if they saw a human face uncovered, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like you have these situations where, and unfortunately I think some of it is just a product of the times, where people are so overly sensitive in every direction that, like, you know, I'm not surprised, as sad as that is, I'm not surprised that like relationships, you know, would end over someone's opinions on UFOs.
Yeah.
You know? Just because like they ended over everything else.
Mhm.
You know? Like,
Yeah. And it's a product of the fall. You know,
yeah.
in our wicked hearts, we put things before God that nothing should be before God. But
Yeah.
we put even goofy things like this. And I say goofy, I mean, we're making an episode about it right now. We're an hour and 10 minutes into this, and I don't know how long we're going to go, but I think
full
it's
Joe Rogan length.
Yeah. Buckle up, boys. We're going to be late to church. Not really.
No.
We're just going to need that coffee that John Piper hates.
But yeah, just silly things that, you know, would be ridiculous to even think that they would come close to that level. If we don't guard ourselves, and it could be anything. It could be your job. It could be fun conspiracy stuff. It could be your family. And yeah, we just have to constantly be on guard against stuff like that. We gotta.
COVID is a good example of a reason why the government would want to keep extraterrestrials hidden. I mean, if you see that reaction, that visceral reaction that people had just over like masking or closing, and then like now you have these otherworldly beings coming into our society, and then you have some people at churches, you know, we'll just keep this in the Christian realm for now, like, no, you know, they're going to give us information and we got to do whatever, and then other people like, no, they're demons or whatever, you know, like I mean, it would really just explode the culture, and so if they are keeping it hidden for that reason, praise God, you know.
Yeah.
The government actually doing its job.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
who would have thought?
A broken clock is right twice a day. Yeah. So the next theory I know you guys have all heard of would be the simulation theory. Now, this would be that either these are.
I think I mentioned that at the very beginning.
Oh, did you? I
think
must have
so.
missed that. I'm gonna have to listen to this one back and then call myself out. I'll add it in post, Tyler. Not really. We don't work that much on this. Yeah, so this would be either glitches in the matrix, or maybe maybe there's a being above. Maybe it's God that created a simulation, which seems like an unnecessary extra step, in my opinion, to show my cards on this one. Yeah, guys, you go first, Tyler.
Oh boy. I might have probably a wilder take on this than these other two gentlemen.
Why do you think I said you first?
Yeah, right. So I've actually I've heard some interesting discussions about this idea of a simulation theory that I think are compelling, so long as you break it out of like what we think of as simulation theory. I think it goes deeper than kind of the initial gut reaction. And again, like, you know, you brought up Heiser earlier. So I've definitely had my fair share of some weird listens before. But there was a pastor by the name of, I am drawing a blank.
Josh Loftus.
No, it was definitely not Josh Loftus.
I love you, Josh. I'm sorry.
He actually, I want to say that he's even been referenced by people like Mike Heiser. but basically, and I'll do some digging as you guys discuss. But anyway, he was talking about simulation theory as a way of like when you look at matter from a like physics standpoint, you zoom in and you get to the atom, and then you zoom in even farther and you get to all this sort of thing. And and they've been talking about looking for the God particle, kind of the thing that holds everything together. When you zoom in far enough, you basically end up in a binary where there's either this there or it isn't. And so it's like when you look at it from that kind of perspective, especially like as a computer guy myself, that idea of like we think of a computer or a simulation theory as like it's all running in the matrix, like a computer simulation.
Mhm.
But I think it goes beyond that. Like I I, I tend to think of like the heavenly realm, like where God is, as a real beyond our real life. It's more real than real. What we understand as humans in our finite nature, we can't even comprehend anything beyond that. And so putting that in terms of like, so it is essentially almost like a simulation when you put it into those terms. Like God is in what is the truly real realm versus our it's real to us simply because we're in it, just like the characters in a book that's real to them, but it's because they're in that book, whereas the author is beyond that. So I don't know that I put much stock into it. I would put it at like probably a one. But I do find it interesting. And I've only ever heard him like actually talk about it.
Yeah. The only I'm gonna go with like a this is gonna be. Go ahead.
The Chuck Missler, that was the guy.
I've
Yeah,
heard
if
that
you guys
name.
wanna.
I can't
Yeah.
remember.
Same.
He's on some weird ones. I will go ahead and tell you there. He was actually the first person I ever heard talk about gap theory.
Mhm.
The wage
So
gap?
not to say that he is at all a
Fake.
not to say that he is at all a pioneer
What's
of that.
gap theory?
Oh man. Okay, so it proposes the idea that there was a gap of time that's unaccounted for in scripture, like it's not written about specifically between Genesis 1:1 and 1:2.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
God created the heavens and the earth, and then
Yeah.
but and basically it all rides on he hovered over the face of the waters, and the earth was form and or without form and was void.
Is
Like as
this
if like he had created this thing, then Satan fell, and there was this big cosmic fallout, and there were other like things, observations that he used to kind of back it up. Like I guess on there's like a particular part of Mars that essentially there's signs of craters and that would be in like meteoroid impacts that are close enough together that it would have to have occurred in the span of like an hour for it to all line up, like hit where it did. So like that was kind of the theory that there was this big fallout and cosmic warfare, and that the asteroid belt that we have was another planet and all this sort of stuff. So weird stuff. I'm like I said, I'm not going to put a ton of stock into it, but um, he was the one who I first heard bring that up. And again, he's not a pioneer of that, but
Yeah.
you know,
I personally am gonna go, and I changed my other answer from a 0 to a 0.1, so I can say my first 0, even though it's not. The only danger I see in this, and Tyler, I don't think you are. I'm not accusing you of what I'm about to say, but I think the danger here is like Gnosticism. You know,
yeah, I
like
can see that.
you know we have uh the gospel is all about Christ entering into creation. And if creation is not real in the first place, I don't know. There's just there's issues with that, I think, from my perspective. I won't delve too deep into that, but just because I don't think it's necessarily the case, I guess, you could get around that a little bit. But to me, I think the danger there would be Gnosticism. What do you think, Justin?
um, I've never really cared too much about all of the simulation theory talk. I just even even if it's 100% true, which I don't think it is, even if it even if I grant that it's 100% true, just for the sake of argument, so what? Like, so what? I wake up and I still believe in God. Like,
Yeah.
okay, shut up.
Simulation failed.
You still have
Take
to
that, atheists.
You have to assume that the infinite vastness of all of creation was created by finitude, and the vastness of our God was was made up by finitude. And so what? Like, even if I wake up tomorrow, like in the little, and I literally am out of the matrix. They say, "Wake up, Neo," and I'm Neo.
Of course.
If anybody
Yeah.
is,
I mean,
yeah, it would be
yeah.
you. And
So what? Like,
actually,
okay.
I made a meme where you were Agent
Save me
Smith.
first, though.
I think like 5 years ago, Justin, I made that little GIF
yeah.
where you're Agent Smith. Or no, Agent Smith was saying your name, so you would be Neo.
Yeah,
It's come
It was
full circle
foretold.
from 5 years ago.
It has been
Yeah.
foretold.
That is so much more meaningful for
yeah. I don't
the
think
four
it's
of us than
probable.
anybody else listening.
I don't think it's probable at all. And even if it were, I just don't care. Like, say I wake up and I still believe in God. Christ is still king. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think, even if I woke up from a simulation, that these finite people who made said simulation could come up with the infinite vastness of creation and the complexity of our God.
Yeah, it's just
Mhm.
taking it one step further back.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when people say, "Oh, well, God isn't real because aliens made us," and it's like, okay, who made aliens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Just turtles.
Agent Smith, Pete, what do you think?
Yeah,
Mr. Anderson.
I'm on the same page. I just like the simulation theory, like it. I'm familiar with it. I kind of get the idea. I've not really studied on like why why people hold to it, or what it what anomalies it resolves for them, or like even like what is outside the simulation. Is it like the Matrix, where it's just another world, it's the same world but just different? Yeah, I think I just think it's false.
Yeah.
I think it's a zero. I don't even think that there's a possibility that we're all in a computer simulation or some sort of matrix thing.
So you're saying if I have deja vu, I shouldn't sprint to the nearest landline?
No,
Find
definitely do
one.
that
If you can
still.
find
Okay.
one.
If you wake up in a green environment in front of an old terminal computer,
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Then I'll know.
Yeah. I know there's a
all
bunch
right.
of people that say that the mathematical probability that we're in a simulation is almost undeniable. Like the probability is such. This says that we are almost definitely in a simulation. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know
How do you
anything
get
about
that
that.
well,
Yeah.
and again, like for me, I'm like any sort of credence I could give to simulation still points to like God's running the simulation. Like,
Yeah.
this is like I said, to me, it's a matter of like I look at it from that realm kind of perspective. Like we're in the created realm. He's in, he's all self-sufficient. So,
Yeah. Can't
You
simulate
wake up
that.
and you're still in creation.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, our next theory is the time traveler theory. So this would be the idea that a future, whether it's, maybe a government or army, or maybe just a small group of scientists, have cracked the code on time travel and they are coming back to observe What do you guys think of that one? Pete, you go first this time.
I love the idea of time travel.
I do too.
But I think it's a 0. You guys may have witnessed the conversation in said Telegram group. But I can't remember, but it's the theory of simultaneity. Like time is this is, as I'm wrapping my head around it, it's like time isn't like a flat 2-dimensional thing,
Right.
but it's more 3-dimensional, where you can have people interacting, but they're actually in different times. I don't know. And I just have a hard time wrapping my mind around that. Even just that little time travel, like if you're traveling in your car at 100 miles an hour, it might be fractions of seconds, but you're actually in the previous time. Time is moving slower for you than the guy that's just walking down the street. Like that, that just doesn't compute in my head. Maybe it's factual.
That's saying something, by the way.
Yeah, Pete is literally AI, and he can't wrap his brain around it.
Yeah, you're asking AI to deny the Matrix right now.
Of course, the Matrix doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So I just think in my own ignorance, I feel like time is 2-dimensional. We're all in the same time, and it moves at the same rate for everybody. And so, time travel backwards or like jumping ahead of time, it's outside of the realm of possibility.
Counterpoint. Have you ever ridden in a car while someone's driving and you fall asleep and then you wake up and you're there? Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
My kids do it every day.
But see, it's the opposite though, right? Because you're traveling faster, so time moves slower. So have you ever ridden and then woken up at home?
Ooh,
where your starting point is?
Yeah.
Well, of course.
Yeah, and it's the same time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't even wrap my mind around the movie Looper. So I'm definitely gonna not be able to wrap my mind. That might be a deep cut. I don't know how popular that movie is, but
I've seen
I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
Crazy. Yeah, that movie. I haven't seen that in a long time. Maybe I'll go.
See,
back
I've not
and
seen
rewatch
Looper, but I've seen Jumper.
Oh, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
I think I've seen both,
is that
actually.
the one?
That Jumper is with Hayden Christensen. And
Okay, no, Looper. Yeah, Looper was like this. I think
Bruce
it
Willis.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah.
I don't think I actually saw that one, but I definitely saw
there's a
Jumper,
shotgun.
which is fun.
You should watch
There's a
Looper
shotgun.
There
and
is a
not
shotgun.
understand it at all, and then go on a Reddit post to understand it, because it's a mind bender. There's so many hidden things. Like, it's really good though. I think it was like a film student project, but it doesn't feel like
Interesting.
a really bad indie film. It's really good. So yeah, Looper. I don't even know how you could stream that now, but I'm sure there's some way.
Well, great thing for you, Joe. If you go on to IMDb, it will tell you where they stream these movies.
Ooh, nice.
So, if you ever are curious about that, just look it up on IMDb.
Pro tip. I like that. Yeah, but I'm gonna go with like a 0. I think we are finite beings, and it could be that we experience time certain ways given different circumstances and all kinds of different stuff. And I think there's this kind of pride that modern scientists have, where it's almost as if they observe something and then immediately talk about it as though it is fact, rather than what science was meant to be, which is you never really have the answer. It's kind of an ongoing thing, and then you get more and more data and you add it to the collection, and maybe you change certain things. There's a lot of scientists that will tell you that it is just fact that time travel is somehow possible, and they just have to figure it out. I just don't. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Justin?
Excuse me. I don't think that time travel is possible. If you want to say traveling forward in time, maybe that's something that
Do it every day.
exists in theoretical physics. I've heard people talk about the different passages of time at different passages or different rates of time, depending on speed and gravity and all that kind of stuff, and that's just physics.
Mm.
I don't have a problem with that, uh, but traveling back in time, uh, if if you grant that that's possible, I think you immediately come across a host of theological issues,
Yeah.
a bunch of what ifs. And I can't cite his opinion. I don't remember exactly his reasoning, but shout out to That'll Preach podcast. Um, Paul
Brian,
Rizkala, I know, right?
what
One
up?
guy, Paul
Love that guy.
Rizkala. He is a philosopher, and he has strong opinions about why time travel is not possible. Again, can't cite his opinion. Go through and listen to every That'll Preach episode to find
Listen
out
to
why.
them all. They're all great.
Go listen to all of them if you want to know the reason. But yeah, I don't think specifically traveling back in time is a possibility at all.
Yeah. Well, and I would argue even, when you talk about moving forward in time, it's not really time travel. Like you said, it's kind of just physics.
Right.
And I would grant that, I've never seen Interstellar, but Tyler told me what it's
Whoa.
about. Yeah, I know. But Tyler told me what it's about. And I don't think
No
you can
spoilers, by the way.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
I don't think
Dang.
you can become a ghost in the wall or whatever, but like maybe it's possible that uh, yeah, like I don't know if I would really call that time travel though. You're just, experiencing time differently, if
Yeah.
that makes any sense.
Yeah, if you
Tyler.
want to talk about like extra dimensionality and all that kind of stuff, I don't know. I don't understand all that. Like being able to hypothetically be present in multiple three-dimensional time periods at one time. I don't know. I don't know about all that.
Yeah.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but just the different rates of time passage depending on speed and gravity and stuff. That's just physics. Like in theory, you could go somewhere else and then come back to Earth, and time would have passed differently
Yeah.
for you than everyone else on Earth. And I don't think that's a problem at all.
Yeah, I was gonna say I definitely I don't know that I would go as far as to say that I think time is like fully like completely linear, like 2D kind of. I think it's probably like 2.5D, like not quite not quite traversable in the 3D, but no, yeah, I was immediately like as soon as you asked about it, my first thought was like the theological issues with that. And you can't really skirt around some of that. There's something to be said about the fact that like God said it would happen in a particular way, and I guess you could make the argument like, well, God could also have decreed time travel, but then you're just a nerd, so like stop. um, you know, uh, I definitely find like the subject of like time dilation and other similar things to be fascinating. I think my most fascination with that subject would land on like missing time type events. Like there was a story where there's a pilot, and I don't remember the details of like where he was flying from and to, but it was like it was supposed to take him like 6 hours to get to this other airport that he was going towards, and like he ends up on this like big patch of fogs, and he sees something way off to the left, like some unidentified craft. And next thing you know, like he's being hailed by ATC at the airport that he was supposed to go to. And like he looks and the time is much sooner than he should have been able to get there. And he still has fuel and stuff like that. Or like people that will like see something as they're driving down the road. And then, when they get home, a drive that should have only taken them like half an hour, suddenly it's 2 hours later. And they're like, what happened to the time? Stuff like that. I find that fascinating. But I do not think it is even remotely possible to travel back in time to undo the past. That is one that I think is yeah. I just think it's completely impossible.
Sounds like a negative number. Are you giving it like a -1? We got our first negative number.
I mean, I would stick at like a strong 0.
Yeah.
Was
that zeros across the board?
I think so.
Yeah.
If we're talking about traveling back in time, I'm giving it a hard 0.
Yeah. Wow. Look at that. We got to disagree more, guys. Make this podcast interesting.
We really don't have to. We're having so much fun.
No, yeah. So this is, I think, the last theory, and this covers a lot of ground. And I'm going to go last on this one because, I have lots to wrap up, little cookie crumbs I've dropped throughout this podcast. The last theory is the interdimensional theory. And you take that wherever you want to go with it, Justin. What do you think?
Whoa, me first.
Yep.
Oh man. I mean, give me some more specifics here. Like, what are we talking about?
You take that wherever you want to go with it. Now, given the fact that there's at least apparent evidence of, the Tic Tacs with impossible, based on the laws of physics, impossible flying patterns. There's people with all kinds of interactions with even beings. Lots of different evidence of these things happening. What do you think the likelihood of this being any sort of interdimensional being are?
If we're talking about aliens, then no, I don't think we have extra dimensional physical beings. If you want to start talking about like our other parts of creation, spiritual beings, angels, whatever, are those interacting on different dimensional levels? Maybe. I don't know. Have you guys heard the explanations of like how we as 3-dimensional beings would perceive a 4-dimensional object?
I have not.
No? Anybody? Pete, Tyler?
No. I mean, I feel like I've heard that concept before, but I couldn't
Pretty
tell
sure
you what
you've
it was.
sent me all of them.
Okay, so oh yeah, I think I actually sent one to Tyler the other day. So let me explain this very poorly. So they start with something that we can understand, which would be a 3-dimensional being interacting with a hypothetical 2-dimensional being, right? So hypothetically, you have a 2-dimensional being, say he's on a piece of paper or whatever, looking down a flat plane. All he can see is forward, back, side to side. There's no up, there's no down. To that being, if we were to come over and look down on this flat plane and like poke your finger through it, he wouldn't see a 3-dimensional finger. What he would see in front of him would be what seemed to be a circular object that just appeared out of nowhere because it came from above, right? And he doesn't have above in his brain. To him, it would look as if you sticking your finger through this piece of paper was just an object appearing in front of him and then disappearing as you pulled your finger out, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So in kind of the same way, if there was hypothetically a 4-dimensional being that was interacting with our 3-dimensional existence, if that being interacted with us, in theory, what we would see in front of us would be a sphere just appear out of nowhere, grow, and then shrink and disappear into nothing. Because that's all we can perceive is those 3 dimensions where he is looking. I'm going to say down, but we're talking 4th dimension here, so not actually down. He's looking at us from this 4th dimension direction, which we can't perceive, and him sticking his finger through our 3-dimensional realm would just look like it popped in out of nothing, grow, and then shrink into nothing and disappear. So, I mean, yeah, I think extra dimensional interaction may be a thing, but not if we're talking about aliens.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that's probably just like celestial, what we would call like celestial beings, like angels and stuff like that. is it possible for God to have created physical beings with different dimensional interactions? Yeah, obviously, definitely, for sure. Um, but I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say that's not happening. I might be able to ramble on that further, but yeah, I'm at the end of my train of thought.
That's all right. Tyler, any
I've,
thoughts on
I've,
that?
I'm in the same place. Like I've always found myself fascinated. Now I gotta. It's not really a nitpick, I guess. I've heard a lot of people use the term interdimensional to really mean like extra, like from a different realm of sorts. Because like when we think of dimensions, like you have X, Y, and Z axis is 3 dimensional, and then anything beyond, then they say like we technically are 4 dimensional creatures because we have the dimension of time as well. We move through time. But w- beyond that, you have this situation where it's like really what people are meaning is like they pop in from like an alternate reality,
Mm.
not that not that they're like 5D creatures or whatever, showing their 3 dimensional iteration of themselves or whatever.
Sure.
So and I mean I'm sure you could probably find people that would espouse either or, but I don't know. I don't want to like give away my full thought process because I kind of wonder if this is where Joe is going as we head to the wrap up. But there's some theories out there that I would tend to agree with, that have to do with like what people are seeing is technically from beyond our realm of understanding, but not in the way that people think.
Mhm.
Um, so, I mean, I guess just from a very broad view, taking it at a very high level, I would say probably like, I would say a 3. Um, but again, I can explain more later if you get to where I think you're going, Joe.
Yeah, I probably am. All right, Pete.
So,
don't
so when
steal
I
my thunder
hear-
here, Pete.
when I hear like dimensional beings or whatever, I think of more like not like a 5D or 4D or whatever, but more of like uh yeah, like another realm, or like a Doctor Strange where he's popping in and out of the multiverse, which I don't really hold any stock to the multiverse concept,
Mhm.
because I think really it's just trying to resolve that our universe has design and purpose, and from an atheistic standpoint it shouldn't.
Yeah.
And
It makes
so
a theological mess.
yeah, yeah,
Best of
Yeah.
all possible worlds, right?
Well,
yeah.
and the thing is it doesn't actually resolve those things that they're
It
trying to
doesn't.
resolve. It's just like
Yep.
any other theory. It just takes it another step back.
Just
You
Mhm.
yep. But it could be in the realm of possibility, with even just looking at
See what you did there. Realm.
the like the vastness of just our universe, and then like the complexity, even as you go like we talked about earlier, like going deeper in, like looking at the atoms and the subatomic particles, and as you get deeper and deeper you still find complexity, you never
Mhm.
find simplicity.
Yeah.
I think it's possible that God could have done that. Like there are other there could be a multiverse where he just created the universe even more vast than we could comprehend, or that we could only guess at. And then I suppose he could populate those with beings or whatever. I mean, that's all possible. Um, and I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with that. I think just like with aliens, um, it's not gonna shake my worldview at all, and it'd be kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
But I think the likelihood again is going to be like a 1, or a 0.5. It could be, but I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, I was a little bit cheeky with this one. and I'm gonna give this one a 5 out of 5.
See, you can't juke us like that, Joe.
Yeah, I know. and
Get a load of this guy. you know?
Justin immediately got on to me too, because I am including demons in this theory. And I think when you look at all the evidence we have, I think that some of the things we talked about today cover or potentially cover some of these experiences. But for example, we talked about government cover up type things. Well, the government actually has statistics on people that experience abductions. Those are in scare quotes for the listener. And how the phenomena ends when people call on the name of Jesus Christ. The government
Yeah, I've
actually
heard
has
this too.
statistics on that. So, you guys hit the nail on the head earlier too, talking about how if the government does have evidence, and I'm pretty sure, I know for a fact, Justin and Pete, I'm pretty sure you said it too, Tyler. They may have this evidence, but they don't know what to do with it. And here's where worldview matters. Because if you have all this evidence that, yeah, okay, these weird beings that we can't explain physically are coming and messing with people or their experience in reality, and then calling upon the name of Christ makes it stop. Yeah, it's probably just some alien. It's definitely not
Right.
demons. But also, we talk about Roswell being kind of the ramp up towards all of these things. I believe Roswell was like, what, 47? I know it was like shortly after World War II.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
And, you look at the last almost 100 years and the ramp up of all these things, and you look at society and the debauchery and the things that we allow in our society, and it doesn't honestly surprise me that these things happen more. And on top of that, you look at people like Tom DeLonge literally selling a program teaching you how to interact with these beings, and it's just straight up new ageism. I mean, drugs are involved, seances, literally occultic practices. And that's the other thing about them too, is oftentimes the occult is like directly connected to whether it's individuals that experience this or communities, certain areas that experience these things. To me, I think a lot of the physical theories that we talked about, whether it's potentially maybe even some of these things are extraterrestrial, and yeah, maybe some of the other more, I guess, basic but more advanced than we have. Yeah, sure, maybe. I gave my score on that earlier. But I think a lot of what we're seeing can be explained. And I'm trying to explain this throughout this past like minute and a half rant, because I don't want people to think that, oh, yeah, it's just a Christian saying, he's just minimizing the experience I had and saying, yeah, it's just demons. And I never talk about this, but I had a personal experience where I never thought it was aliens. I mentioned the Crossroads thing that I was at before. This is weird for me to say out loud because I never talk about this because people think I'm weird.
I don't even know that you've told me this. So
Yeah, people think I'm weird, but that's all right. I
already did.
We just did this hour and 50-minute podcast about aliens, so they think I'm weird already. Shortly before I came to faith, I had this experience where, what's it called when you're like in a dream state, but you're wide awake? What's that called? That's not
Lucid
sleep paralysis. Lucid dreaming, yeah. It was kind of like a lucid
closely
dream.
tied with sleep paralysis.
Yeah. So maybe you can explain that away by some mental illness. I am clinically significant. That's an inside joke. But I don't think so. I had this experience where I personally witnessed an entity in my bedroom that had me like completely frozen. I couldn't move physically, almost like felt like I was chained down to my bed. And I could expand on this more later, but literally like calling on the name of Christ and, in the coming days, coming to faith is what stopped this. And had I taken a left turn, had God not changed my heart, I could have explained that away as aliens easily. But I think that's clearly, given what happened shortly after, uh, and given the intentions of demons and their boss, to me at least, I kind of chalk that up as, yeah, hey, don't go. They're trying to tell me, hey, don't go in that path you're going right now. I don't know. Maybe you guys think I'm an insane person, but
No, I don't know if you've looked into this a lot or not, but exactly what you're saying is shockingly common. Like it's common enough that there's an entire niche of memes about my my sleep paralysis demon. You
yeah,
know, have you seen these?
yeah,
Yeah. So what you're saying isn't unique.
yeah. But this was a one-time thing, and Jesus broke those chains. He broke the chains of my sin, and I've never had a fear even of that happening ever again. So I don't know. Maybe providentially, there's a listener here that is experiencing that. And if you haven't accepted Christ, if you haven't called out to Christ, do it. Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus is bigger than whatever you think that is.
Yeah.
So it is really funny to hear you tell that story, and I definitely want to talk with you more about that specifically. And I say that because I have had a very similar experience. I don't think I was necessarily at any sort of crossroads kind of experience leading up to that, but um, very similar motif. Like couldn't move, couldn't speak, and the only thing that freed me to even be able to talk at all was literally just calling out to Jesus repeatedly. Um, so it's very interesting. The fact that I don't think I've ever told you that either.
No.
The fact that we've both actually had something very similar. So I'd be curious to get some more details from you later, just to compare stories. Just because I think that's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. And if any listeners, maybe you think I'm a crazy person, there's a lot of details with that. So if you want to hit us up at whatever, Twitter or email or whatever you want.
This will be our first Patreon cut.
Yeah. Yeah, I can go into those, but yeah.
Yeah. So I think we all kind of got where you were going, Joe, but we thought that it was going to be like the next one. So we were kind of like saving it for you. But I mean, absolutely. Like we're Christians, therefore we're supernaturalists.
Yes.
We believe that what we see and feel around us is not all there is.
Right.
And there is another realm. There is the spiritual realm. It's created just like as our realm is. There are beings that inhabit it that we know of and that can somehow interact with our realm in very strange and unusual ways. And yet, I just feel like I got to say it. And yet, beyond that, even God is not in time. He's not in the supernatural realm. Like it doesn't contain him.
He made it.
Yeah. He made it, and he manifests himself in it in a certain way, but that's not all of who he is.
Right.
And so yes, some of these experiences absolutely could be demonic and probably are, like you said, if it's being broken by calling out to Jesus Christ, whom the demons fear as their final judge, who's going to throw them into the lake of fire forever and ever. Yeah, supernatural demons for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I would even say like maybe not even just demons. I think you run into a situation where like you said, and I think you hit it really well. This idea of fear, for one, causing doubt, just distraction from the things that truly matter. I mean, one of the things that I've seen frequently in like the Bigfoot Sasquatch community as well as like UFO people and all this is they tend to have like this one experience and they spend the rest of their lives seeking after it so hard that they
Chasing the
like
dragon.
abandoned everything else in their life
Yeah.
to the point where it's like you have people that like had careers and families
Mhm.
and gave all of that up to go sit in the woods looking for Bigfoot.
Yep.
And that's wild to me. But I think you also have, you know, like what Joe mentioned at the top of the episode, this idea that like, well, this is something we can tell the Christians, like this is going to shake your entire worldview.
Mhm.
And the sad reality is there are those out there that when they're confronted with someone saying, "Hey, I'm from the government and I'm telling you that aliens are real," that immediately causes them to categorically invalidate everything that they were taught about the church.
Yeah.
So I think there is something to be now, you know, and again, I can't say with certainty just because I don't know. Like, and this is the fun of this is the speculation, obviously. I but if you told me and could show me 100% that like yes, what people are seeing is actually just demonic activity to distract and cause fear and all this, I'm like, oh, okay, cool, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know?
It adds up.
But you know, I also think about like some of the stuff that like you see in the Old Testament. You know, what is the number one thing when angels appear to people? Do not be afraid.
Get up.
You know, like why yeah, exactly. Why is there this conversation that involves like, all right, pick yourself up off the ground, don't be afraid, I have good news.
Yeah.
You know, you know, like what is it, what's the prophet that everyone loves to talk about, seeing the wheel within the wheel? I'm drawing Ezekiel, thank you, I've just drawn a blank on that. But I mean, even at the pronouncement of Christ being here, you know, they appear before shepherds and they were so afraid. Now, these are guys that essentially live in the wilderness. They're not afraid of a whole lot. So when suddenly they see something that causes them to be so afraid that an author takes note of that
Yeah.
and they say, hold on, chill, it's okay. You know, that's noteworthy. So I think there could even be like, you know, some of what people are seeing is just I don't know how to put this in a category, and thankfully I'm viewing this from a distance because if it was right here, I'm freaking out. You know, I'm filling my shorts. But yeah, I don't know. You know, I think it tends to land on this more spiritual, and I think the other side of this is I think a lot of people have this misunderstanding of like what spiritual means, like what demons are, what angels are, and it's not this thing that doesn't interact with the physical ever. You know, like they're so closely tied. Like in the Old Testament, you know, you have the angels that go into Sodom and Gomorrah to see Lot and his family. They're men. You know, the man that comes to Abraham and says like, I'm God and I'm telling you, you know, there's this situation where there is something that is spirit coming in a physical embodiment to say this message or whatever. So I think when people hear us say like aliens are demons or UFOs are demons or whatever, they have this idea that like, oh, so you just think like, you know, aliens and UFOs are ghosts.
Mhm.
No, you know, where it's not some like comical like Scooby-Doo silliness. You know, it's something real, and it's far more sinister on that front than I think a lot of people would even like to give it credit for. I think just as much as it could be a distraction for us to not pay attention to those files that I mentioned.
Why can't you say it?
The problem is I don't know
Flag.
the algorithm. Yeah, so we'll just leave it
The
at that.
e-files.
The those ones. Yeah. I also think that there's a like far grander scale at which it's a distraction and like I said, to cause chaos and fear and
Absolutely.
doubt. Just as much as like as much as I don't want it to be, I almost tend to put Bigfoot and stuff like that in that category too. Like I'm not really shy about the fact that I think there's something that people are seeing. There's too many common occurrences there, um, and but yet, like I said, there's people that chase that dragon so heavily that they neglect everything else in their life.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, if you could show me 100% that that's what it was, I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah.
As much as I would want it to be something else, I'm afraid almost that that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. And Justin, I want to hear from you in a second, but to that point, it just brought up to mind Revelation 22:8, and it says, I, John, am the one who heard and saw these things. And when I heard and saw them, I fell down to worship at the feet of the angel who showed them to me. But he said to me, you must not do that. I am a fellow servant with you and your brothers, the prophets, and with those who keep the words of this book. Worship God. So if these entities, this one happened to be an angel, most of what we're talking about is probably demonic. If these entities, just the sight of them, can cause the apostle John to fall down and worship, they can definitely distract us. So, like Tyler was saying, um, stick to, and like we said earlier in this episode, like we say almost every episode, stick to the primary things of the gospel. Those are of uttermost importance above everything else, whether it's, you know, health, wealth, and prosperity. Sorry, Joel. Or whether it's whether it's fun conspiracy rabbit holes to go down. If it doesn't line up with the primary things of faith, then, or if it causes you to live in such a way that your life doesn't line up with the primary things of faith, then it becomes a problem. So, Justin, what do you think of me pulling the wool over your guys' eyes for that last one and then saying what we all thought?
I don't think there was any wool, Joe. I think we all knew where this was going. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I think it's very likely, like everybody else has been saying already, that it's just demonic distraction tactics. Like Tyler was saying, all these people chasing the dragon for whatever supernatural occurrence they experienced, you know? And the fact that that exists means it works, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how many people it works on. Unfortunately, it's more than zero.
Yeah.
So, like, are aliens demons? Maybe. Are all of them demons? Maybe. Are some of them demons? Maybe. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's all within a framework that doesn't present any issues for the sovereignty of our God.
Yeah. Well,
You
yeah,
know?
and that's the tough thing about this is like none of these are going to be exhaustive. Like I think for sure some of this is definitely military, whether it's weapons or whatever that we just don't know about. And I think, you know, probably a lot of this is demonic, and I think some of this could potentially be something else. But yeah, that's it, we're playing a little game show today, so we had to split it up into all individual theories and then have the payoff 2 hours in.
Right.
If anybody's still listening, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, we could ramble about all of these for hours more.
Oh, and there's so many theories I didn't even bring up. Like there's
like
skin
every
suit
single
theories and all kinds of yeah.
I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No thanks. Yeah, I feel like every single thing that you've brought up and had all of us comment on, after it passes me, I feel like I could keep rambling at the next person's comments, you know? Like
Yeah.
we could talk about this on and on and on and on and on. But every single thing still comes back to the conclusion of nothing in all of creation is outside of the scope of control of our God. You know,
Amen.
it could even if all of its demons, even if none of its demons, and it's all aliens, or even if all of it is just military interaction, like that's fine. I'm not going to be shocked by anything, you know?
Yeah.
Like the creative power of my God is such that he could make all of these things true and it not at all shake my faith.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's good stuff.
Yeah. And there's a million and one directions you can take a lot of this conversation and have fun and ultimately speculative, talks about. But yeah, I mean, like I said at the beginning, there's nothing about any of this that can shake my faith reasonably. Simply because like my faith is about what Christ, like who Christ is, what Christ has done, and anything beyond that, like I'm super flexible on. If it's aliens from another planet, awesome, that's really cool, and I want to learn more. If it's demons, then maybe I don't want to learn as much, but you know but at the end of the day, like I said, if you're shaken by this, or if the listener is contemplating some of this and is unsure of how to parse that out into their reality, let me encourage you by saying, like, seek Christ more, because ultimately, like, all of our assurance on anything that happens in life has to be centered around Christ.
Mhm.
Because as we're seeing, like, today, you have a lot of turmoil over, like, racial issues, over you know who's in the White House, over you name it. Like, you have people that are still talking about COVID, and there's this new hantavirus thing. There's UFOs, there's gas prices, there's all this stuff to be concerned about and consumed with. But none of our hope comes from any of that. And in fact, all of that will ultimately just drive you to despair if you're not rooted in Christ and Him crucified.
Yeah.
Because all of it, like, the world is going to toss you about like a little fishing bobber on the waves of this hurricane, and you will feel like that. And that is honestly, like, it's funny because I feel like I was kind of lured into Calvinism kind of right as
My bad.
it
man.
was put right as it was kind of put to the test. Like, it was like right after that there was a lot of turmoil about the elections. I think it was like Trump's first running and everything, and there was just so much hatred and vitriol, and the talk was, this is going to decide, like, if we still have a country anymore. It was just this doom and gloom, and for once I was able to just kind of look at it and be like, huh, none of that matters.
Mhm.
Like, it matters in a temporal sense, but in a grand scheme, that's meaningless almost, because I can't find security in who's president, or if I'm going to be able to buy a house, or how many kids I have. Like, that's not where my security lies. Like, those are all good things, and things that should be thought over and made wise decisions about, but it's still like it pales in comparison.
Yeah.
So, for me and my house, our hope comes from the Lord. I know
Yeah.
that's not the verse, but I'm just making the statement.
Yeah. No matter what it is, God is sovereign over it. And in
Yeah.
fact created it. So
Right. Yeah. It's just a non-issue.
yeah.
Like, from whatever angle, it's just a non-issue. I think there's also a huge a huge thing where people tend to just assume that wherever we are in history, we're like the peak of knowledge.
Yep.
Like, we know everything. There couldn't possibly be more, But then you look back in history and it's like, what was it, like less than 100 years ago, Western science confirmed the existence of gorillas.
Right.
It's just like, come on, dude. Seriously? Like, you think at this point in time, like there's nothing out there that we could possibly not comprehend.
Yeah. Yeah. Pete, any
Well,
thoughts on that?
I mean, yes and amen. I mean, I think I think all this is fun to talk about, and some of it's real, some of it's not. Um, but in the end, if that's what you're chasing, this secret knowledge or this conspiracy theory, it's going to leave you empty.
Mhm.
It never pays off. And you spend your life chasing these fairies and you never catch them, and you're left destitute.
Yeah.
And so so that's why, yes, our hope is in Christ. And if there are secret cabals and ancient aliens and all that stuff, like that's all well and good, and the Lord will work it out. But I'm going to go and I'm going to live my life in service of my God and try to love other people as best I can. And yeah, and just let the big things work themselves out.
Yeah.
And I don't fault people for, looking into conspiracy theories and stuff and being fascinated by it and wanting to know. I mean, that's fine, but it can't consume you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, God is sovereign over all. Christ is king.
Mhm.
Like that's where our hope comes from.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
that's something that I've always appreciated about, and I trust me, this is like the one thing that I will consume from this particular group at this point. Um, but one thing that I've enjoyed about listening to the show Haunted Cosmos is that's always the thing. It's like, for one, the world is more than just stuff. Like that's their tagline. Something about being a Christian in a world that's not just stuff. I'm totally butchering it. It's been a couple weeks since I've listened. But like, how do we explain to the people that have had experiences that they don't know how to understand? How do we explain that and use that situation to show them who is actually in charge? And ultimately, it always boils down to, it doesn't matter, even if it is aliens, they too will bow the knee to Christ
Mhm.
because they have to. They are His creation.
Right.
And it's really funny because I've been sitting here thinking about it ever since you said it, Pete. You said something earlier about how even heaven is creation, and it's like I know this, but I've never really like stopped and considered that as like a standalone thing. So to think about like even God as He inserts Himself into the heavenly realm is still inserting Himself into a created space.
Mhm.
We look at that like, yeah, sure, when He comes down, as Jesus comes to us and puts on flesh, like how that's, but like the Father and the Spirit are also doing that in a way in the throne.
Yeah.
Like that's so cool.
Yeah, even in heaven, God is still condescending to us.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, at the end of the day, Christ is Lord. We've said it many, many times on this
Yeah.
podcast.
If every theory is real, I don't care. I mean, it's cool. I want to hear about it, but like, I don't care. Like,
That's the
it doesn't-
title of the podcast right there. I don't care. Aliens, comma. Oh no, ellipses. We'll do an ellipses there. I don't care.
I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you get pulled into a secret meeting, if you Pete being the almighty AI, if you get pulled into a secret meeting by the government, then you can tell them you're not too worried about their what do they call them? What I guess they just called them the alien files. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what the government called it, but you can tell them they're alien. Yeah, UFO files. That was it. I should have brought that one. to mind. But
Sorry, I'll host the next one. It'll be all right.
all right, yeah. Guys, this was my last pod. It's been nice knowing you.
Yeah, right. Retiring after
yeah.
17 long episodes.
Yeah.
Whatever CIA, FBI agent is listening to this recording because of the topic,
We're just kidding.
bend the knee. You know,
Yeah.
That too.
Repent and believe. You know,
Yeah.
That too. I took it to a completely different direction.
you dropped the ball, bro.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what I was gonna say.
even
If I got
more
pulled
so.
if I got pulled into a meeting with the FBI, that would be my dude. I'm not worried. I'm not worried about whatever you got. Can I talk to you about Jesus Christ?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and so then after that, Pete, if you can do me this one favor, also have them reach out to us through our email, overtheologizer@gmail. Overtheologizing. I always get that mixed up. It's overtheologizing@gmail.com, or have them tweet at us at overtheologizer
Yes.
on x.com.
What
Flawless.
kind of
No.
rating should they give you?
Justin, I just have to ask you, if you had to rate this podcast on any sort of podcast catcher, what do you think you would rate this 2.5 hour podcast?
You know, I think without a doubt, I'd rate it 5 stars.
5
I rate it
stars.
5 stars. Yeah.
Be like
undoubtedly.
Justin. Justin is Neo. You gotta be more like
Even-
Justin.
Even he can acknowledge that this is one of the podcasts of all time.
That's
Yes.
such a deep cut for Joe and I.
Yeah, I know. That was literally 5 years ago, I think. Maybe not
Yeah.
5, maybe 4. I don't know. But anyway,
Close
if
enough.
you want to rate it 1 star, Pete, what do they do if they want to rate it 1 star?
You want to click the one all the way over on the right.
Yeah,
Click
yeah, that's
that
right.
1 star right
Yeah.
there. That'll communicate perfectly what you want.
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly. Exactly.
Oh, we're never gonna let that joke go. Well, I appreciate anybody that stuck it out for this 2 hours and 20 minutes. Let's be fair, 2 hour and 20 minute podcast. I had a ton of fun. Justin, Pete, I really appreciate you coming on. Justin, I'd like to have a solo episode with you sometime. Maybe we can get some plans in the works for that.
One of these
Pete.
days.
Yeah, that's a good song. Old was it FFH? You know that song?
FFH.
Yeah,
Oh my
dude.
gosh. One of these days. I'm
Yeah,
going to
Pete.
stop there.
We would love to have you on again.
Yeah, anytime, brother.
Yeah, next time it won't be so weird, I promise.
No script.
Or it might be weirder. You never know.
Yeah, that's very true, actually. But no, we'll definitely give you another shot if you come on again. Maybe we'll have different games. I don't know. We've talked about possibly. See, I'm just dropping, bombs at the end here for the true listeners that listen this far. We possibly might switch up the games one day. Tyler and I have talked about it, and we might freshen it up sometime. We'll see.
That would be fun.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you guys so much for joining us. It's been a blast. Justin, I see you usually once a week at least.
At least, yeah.
Pete, it's so great to have you back on the screen with us. And then Joe, obviously. Love you, bro.
Love you, bro. See you guys. Thanks for listening.
Bye.